Hello, today I welcome Peter on the show. So first, thanks to accept my invitation.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So Peter, if you should resume your path in 3 minutes, how you could do that?
I can try. So I guess started at 12, basically because my parents didn't want to buy me a bike and I really want to have like nice bike. So the response to that was, okay, you can go and earn for it somehow.
Yeah.
I was quite lucky because my dad owned some agency and there was like, manufacturing different things. So I figured out, okay, I will figure out like how to do those things for him and then, earn on this one, which I think was like the best lesson learned, which I got. And I think from that time I figured out, okay, I can, not really sell things, but actually just earn money to, buy things which I really maybe wanted to try, etc. So this is how it all started, pretty much selling then stickers to my friends, for bikes, obviously, because I'm super into bikes. Pretty much I'm just earning money to spend them on bikes. But from this experience, I always been, trying to build my own things and start different, businesses. Most of them failed. I think, I tried to, start maybe 14 different, businesses. And then also, pretty much, during studies, actually, build some different startups, platforms. That was around 15 years ago. So a bit different times. But still quite, I would say, successful in a way. We managed to make some money at the time. But then I figured out, okay, actually I would like to maybe go and, get like real job, and work at IBM and then SAP, travel a bit, the world with different projects working there. And then I think 8 years ago, I just figured out, actually I want to, focus more on working with startups, maybe not really build my own because I failed so many times. Figured out I will just join other startup and learn from their experience, like how to do this. And somehow I ended up running my own tech accelerator, helping others build their products, as we call it, 7 times faster. And from
That's cool.
from this idea, I figured out actually we can build 100 times faster. And I think this is where I decided to actually focus on Pineapple Builder, which is the AI website builder for busy business owners. And that's the recent, let's say, pivot or, iteration of this idea. So I think always trying to build faster, cheaper, and more. So yeah, that's me.
Makes so much sense. That's make me think like, I almost did the same. I was in a startup at one point and I was like, yeah, but I think they are not doing enough faster. They could improve the process and make it faster. So then I quit a bit to go on my own and do my own startup studio to push people to build faster. And then I discover people doesn't want to do faster because if they do it the wrong way, it's because it's their own ego. So if you try to help them doing that, it was very hard because I was to help them to change their mindset. That was very, very, very interesting path. It seems like, I was trying to do also the accelerator thing in a way. So I'm very interested about this, but then, first, I want to go back, to a path a bit at the beginning to try to have a linear approach. Otherwise we're going to lose people. You said something that interests me, like the first thing you would drive you to do entrepreneurship project, let's say, was because you wanted to buy a bike, and that came from yourself, the idea of making money, or your parent told you, like, if you want something, like, work for it?
Yeah, I think, I was even not really introduced to this idea that you earn money, I guess, at the time, or like, you don't realize this. And I think, there was like just saying, if you want this, you can have it, right? And I think, to be honest, this journey of like, almost 20 years really teach me a lot about maybe money and actually in the end bringing value to other people. Because I think at the beginning you just, earn money, doing whatever it needs to be done. and then you do it mainly probably for yourself, right? You want things, you want to do things, maybe then you start helping others, etc. But at the time it was like, okay, I want this, what I have to do to get it.
That's super interesting because I had a discussion not so long ago with my future wife, and we were talking a bit about that. Like right now we have both changed work and I'm more focused on my new project, etc. So we have low income. And sometimes like, oh, we want to do that. And often she say, oh, we don't have the money, so we can't. And for me, it's more like, oh, I want to do that, so I will pay for it and I will find a way to make money, or I will find a way to make money to pay for it. Because since the beginning, the first experience I had, as you, it was like, my mom told me, oh, you cannot buy that, but, because we don't have money, but if you want it, then work for it. And it was very like super simple. And she told me like she never had this experience of her parent doing that. And now I can see on her mindset, like this is still a difference now. Where for me, it's something basic, as you probably.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I think your case and your wife's case, that you actually decided to go, lower income, which means pretty much, you decided to reinvest, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like you're, giving away something else pretty much to have something else in the future, probably, maybe actually doesn't mean actually even bigger value, but this is what you really want, right? So I guess you made this conscious decision to focus there and then actually, reinvest and thinking, okay, how I can achieve this new thing. Question is like, I'm curious now, what's the goal?
It was pretty simple. Like for a long time, I was on a project. Then I was CTO. I work on startup, and then at one point I decided like I will go on my own project because I don't want to work with others anymore. I want my full freedom. I don't want to have any meetings anyway, any other things like that. Like no employee, nothing. I don't want to manage team anymore. Manage people, feelings, enough. And by doing that, I have refused a lot of opportunity where I was building this ecosystem since years. So I had a lot of opportunity in this ecosystem. And then I start back to doing my business in solo where I had not a lot of historic on that. So I'm not good. I don't have the right ecosystem, the right context and everything. So by doing that, I have definitely reduced my income and live on my savings. And that was okay because my objective was to gain this freedom I didn't felt I had before. And she did the same choice. She was a UX designer and she decided to become a coach for entrepreneur, like for makers like us. And by doing that, in one way, she reduced also her income because she's transforming like where the income came from. But sometimes you feel like, oh, why not I take this freelancing mission? But this is against also your will. What you want is not taking mission anymore. So that's both way. And sometimes like for me, I will more design things like, okay, for example, I want to put 1,000 euro in my project because of whatever reason, or in the house, in the living, whatever. I'm more willing to do freelancer, for example, for that, because I want to design my income to feel what I want to do, where she will say, no, I decide to become 100% on helping makers by doing coaching, so I will not take any freelancing mission anymore. Like none.
Right. Very
You see the difference?
Yeah. Cool. So now you're actually building the indie maker kind of products. That's the main focus?
Yeah. I have CapGo, which is the update system for capacitor apps, like hybrid apps. I have CapTime, which is a mobile apps, which is made with capacitor. That's why I made the second project. And CapTime is a CrossFit timer for people athletes doing CrossFit at home when they are not in the gym. They want something of the look like of the one in the gym. So that's exactly what do CapGo, and that's it. And it's a subscription app. And lately with Mark, we have launched something which is a kind of a very baby pineapple builder. I discovered that I think today. We made the baby step of your project, which was very funny. This is different than you, because us is more like you will never touch the building part. We just you ask you a few questions about your project and generate the page already done for you. There are no editor part. So it's like the ultra MVP of
Right.
that.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And that's it. Right now, that's my own focus. And sometimes I take like freelancing mission to help people on mobile apps, on hybrid technology, because this is still not paying all the bills, you see. When you have been a CTO and at high role, I will say like, you have a good amount of revenue. So then when you don't have this, it's a bit hard to get back to less spending.
Yeah. Totally. Right. And I think it's okay. I mean, I'm even considering actually kind of going back, in a way of like running agency, because I actually paused this a bit more. I had like a couple projects running in the background because I also was like more, starting projects, creating architecture infrastructure at the beginning, trying to kind of, kick off the project, and then get some developers and they will continue working on it. For a couple months or maybe even years. So I'm thinking actually to kind of resume this a bit more, but I'm also open to freelance work. I mean, the reality as well is like it's well paid. I don't think, the whole idea about, building things, you will learn a lot. So I think this time is really valuable for other people, I guess. And then the reality is as well, like, I mean, we've been actually looking for people around the world, and finding talents is like super hard. Yeah. It's ridiculous, I would say, hard. So I think there's, still huge opportunity to, jump into this and actually get like really nice freelance, contracts or like, even a full-time job. Yeah. Which I think, overall it's really good investment. I mean, running your own SaaS project is super hard as I'm learning as well. Like it's ridiculously hard.
Yeah.
So I'm really surprised that so many people actually really, jump on this and push so hard.
Because no one knows. Everyone thinks, the idea is the more hard.
Yeah. So, recently I did this, quick list of like people who actually crossed 10K MRR. Yeah. And I got like 13. Not thinking about maybe those super big guys, probably, more into 1 million space. But I was really surprised, like not many people actually cross this. And I got like so much feedback that, getting to 10K is hard, right? And I think especially like a lot of people actually run this, with co-founder. So you pretty much, you have to share this anyway. So you have to get to 20K even to get something like this. And if you think about, freelancing on contracting, the 10K is relatively super easy.
Yeah. I'm doing one mission now. I took just one. We will start tomorrow, and it's 8K for 15 days. It's like very nice, very easy compared to doing 20 euro more MRR. It's like infernal.
Right. So yeah, I mean, like it's hard. And of course, there are additional costs, the customer service and all that stuff. So yeah, not sure what to think about this as well. I mean, obviously it's nice, you have this freedom, let's call it, this way. But even like recently I tried to go for holidays and I was like, getting, of course, much more requests for websites and customer service, because I've run this also campaign just before going my
let's do something before holidays.
Yeah, right. It's like I want to close something and it's like boom. So yeah, interesting. But I think you can still jump on something freelance and then switch some ideas. I think no one is going to judge you. I mean, if they don't,
no, definitely no one. Especially, like, I don't know if you got this feeling, but more I am doing my own project, more I have empathy for every business I am in contact with. Like, you go to the restaurant and you see this is a mess and you're like, yeah, but I have a business. No, I know. Sometimes everything is broken and you don't know why.
Yeah. And I think, what you said at the beginning, right? Like at the beginning, you might be CTO, you're annoyed about everything, you figure out, I can run it better. But then you just learn that, okay, it's really hard to run it better. Even finding people, I think for me, like hiring is the hardest bit, right? And then it's like then managing this all together. And I think at the end of the day, no one really knows. I mean, I think even indie hackers, they don't know what they, build and how it works and how they make this, really, nice product overall. I've been listening a lot of indie hacker podcasts recently, and also the conclusion was, it's very often luck in a way.
No one knows what it's doing, but sometimes it works.
Sometimes it works, right? Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting to learn about this, and I think also, I'm not sure if you're I think you're quite big now on Twitter as well, but then I also tried to figure out like how to use Twitter.
Yeah.
I'm there from 2011, but
I think same for me.
Yeah, but only like recently, I think maybe now 9 months in total or 6 months. I've been trying to learn a bit more like how to use this platform, learn from other people and all that stuff. And I think I'm quite failing on this as well.
I will give you a secret. Mm-hmm. I have, like my account now, I have 6,000 followers. But in fact, what I have done really, I've made 1,000 followers properly, I think, since last 6 months. Because before that, I did long time ago, probably 8 years ago when I started to be in Twitter, like very shady methods to grow audience. So now I have like 5,000 of shitty followers and 1,000 of good one. But so it look amazing, but in fact, like for the number I have, it could be better.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's interesting time for Twitter, right? Because I think, as well, we can see much less engagement. Like, those views are small. Sometimes you get, like viral, let's say, in a way, but then still nothing big. But I think also like, it looks like even big accounts, they don't have so much views, under their tweets anymore. So like so often, let's say.
It really depends. Huh? Like this is a machine we don't understand. Even with seeing the code source, for me, it doesn't make sense. Like for me, when they released the code source, it was like joke. It was like it doesn't look like okay. It doesn't look like it worked like that.
Shouldn't work. Yeah, but I guess like so. Do you know what's the algo like around this? Like what you should be doing and not.
I have seen some things on the code and people reporting that on Twitter, but there are things that's so absurd about like there are exception about Elon Musk. If you put Elon Musk in the text, it's like 10 times better or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not possible. It's this like, like what the fuck? But maybe it's true. Okay. I don't know.
Okay. I'll try this, Elon Musk.
Yeah,
I know that I've heard that having picture or like video or something like this, and I think you should get like a lot of engagement at the beginning. Yeah. Although sometimes I don't know, you can get this engagement after 12 hours or something.
Yeah. The last tweet I did a good perform. It was 26k view, and at the 2-3 hours it was a flop because I posted in the very wrong time. So I didn't have no one to watch it. And then when he ended up at the right moment, it started to blow.
Right. So do you follow any tactic?
Right now I am following the course of Dagobert, the meme lord, because I want to renew a bit my knowledge. To be honest with you, before doing Twitter properly, I did the same strategy on LinkedIn. And now I'm not doing LinkedIn anymore, but I have trained myself a lot to understand what is good and bad writing, what is a good storytelling and how to do that. So that definitely helped me on Twitter. The most challenge now is often when I write, it's too long for Twitter because I have the format of LinkedIn in my brain very well in print.
Right.
But if I will guess is I would say like be personal, share personal things. Like more things have been complex for you, more you will make people be relate to you. Like if you have a challenge on whatever, like share it. That's the most hard, vulnerable things you could do, but that's usually the most human way you will, take empathy. If you don't try to give a lesson, but just share about what happened and your struggles, then it's very good.
Right.
Usually like big accounts can afford to do just like, do things like that because they have the followers already. So people have already built the trust with them. So they can just say, I think you should do things like that. But when we are tiny like us, doing that doesn't seem nice. It look like someone is giving his ask advice, the people when you talk in the coffee, someone asks you, what are you doing? And then they give you your advice where you never ask. So it look like that if you're doesn't have build a trust relationship with people. So usually it doesn't work well for what I've seen. And if it's a bit funny or a bit cool, like you have a cool vibe, it's not just depressing, it's better, definitely. And after the form of the message is very important for me. Like it has to be fucking readable. Like my goal now when I wrote is to make a 5-year-old child be able to read without like what he's saying. You see, if you reach that,
right.
Then it's super catchy for people because they scroll, so they don't have a lot of attention to put on every tweet. So it has to be very understandable. Like, that's for me the best things I know right now.
Yeah. I think as well, like I can see more and more tweets like that. I mean, not really, scheduled posts, like in the past. And I think maybe it's also me after actually holidays, I'm like chilled and then don't want to see these, crazy messages or like, trying to get my attention too much. And also like, I know, subscribe here or like do this or that. You will get this crappy whatever, which you're not going to use this anyway. But I think, and I really actually hope that actually Twitter will become like this place where people can really have proper conversations, like as a human being rather than, just this kind of bots or actually kind of in this mode of, being influencer, trying to actually really get as much attention and views. Because I think, we have like just too much. Like I think all social media is like just too much, about this constantly kind of trying to grab your attention.
I agree. Fucking
yeah. Which, I think we need time. I think Elon Musk needs to figure out how to do this. I still believe in this guy. I mean,
I do as well. But right now it doesn't prove us right, but I believe he can do something.
Yeah. I think it's getting there. And I'm really sorry about, like everyone who actually kind of run any, app on Twitter, like with their API. But I think this is also like was a bit ridiculous because, people could actually really hack the Twitter and then, post and spam a lot. Which I think, that's the problem of the social media, right? Everyone try to abuse this because, someone else is abusing it. So why you? You're not doing it, right?
Let's do all the shit together.
Yeah. But I think it's also like, it's interesting thing about people which you try to follow. And I think, seeing that they're actually kind of nice human being and then, they just really share their story, real things, not try to overcolor things that, you can do those 10 things, you will get to 10K MRR, just like that. Because I think, overall, like things takes time really. And especially even to keep this, alive. I mean, like, your MRR, I think sometimes is challenging. So.
Fucking agree.
Yeah.
My 2 projects right now are at the roof. I don't find a way to break. Like, Cap Time, the CrossFit timer is at $700 bucks a month. And no matter what I do, I cannot break this limit. Like I can put 300 euro ads on it, while now there are none. Doesn't change anything. It's like, what the fuck?
Right.
I don't know how to break this limit. It's like almost 500 paying user, but almost. I'm always at 493, 96, 94. And it's like,
maybe you have this weird if statement in your code. It's like more than 500, get rid of it.
yeah, remove two. So I have that. And for CapGo, I break this roof. I went up to 1,500 a month. And I'm stuck at this as well since 2 months. Like it was growing very like that. I was like, okay, I'm going to the sky. Perfect. I'm the rich maker on my yacht soon. And then at 1,500, stopped.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like you never know. And I think for me, that's why maybe also like when I start building, Pineapple, and I think even 2 years ago, I mean, my idea was actually to have this AI website builder, which funny fact, because, 2 years ago, people were like, what? Are you kidding me?
It wasn't the thing.
Impossible. You can't really build or like generate websites just like that. And I think actually people actually were really pushing back about, they didn't want to, AI website builders or something like this.
You were early.
They want standard website builders or whatever. So I think things change. And I think also what I've learned, let's say from my old kind of like say general experience, is like you have to keep on pushing. And I think maybe you have to have your vision of something and then just keep on pushing. And I think this is as well, maybe Elon trying to figure out, okay, I want to build this platform. No one actually really understands this yet. But maybe in 5 years we'll understand like how it's better and actually why we needed it.
And especially for Elon Musk, he has this pattern very like on all his project was like that. He made PayPal at the beginning and no one believed in this. He made Tesla at the beginning, like fucking electric car, like so long ago, like no one was talking about this shit. So it definitely that's a pattern. And the SpaceX same.
Yeah.
Let's make rocket who came back. What?
Right. And not burn all this money all the time. Which I think, it's, for me, it's actually interesting kind of, metric just to figure out, okay, if people are thinking that the project is really ridiculous, I think like, okay, this is going to maybe be something.
Yeah. One way of the other.
But I think it's still, I mean, the ideas are always bad. I mean, regardless, right? You have to just keep on iterating on them. And like as well, like working with other startups, all of them, they start with one idea or like direction and then, always change to something else. And I think this is where I actually started specializing, I think with my kind of, let's say, framework, of building apps that, we could actually replace the whole app and turn this into something else very quickly because the architecture was very flexible. And I think that's the reality. Like, you want to build this, but then 2 months later you learn that, okay, there's maybe better opportunity or like customers want something else and then you have to switch it to something else. So you have to have this flexibility, I guess, with speed. But I think, overall, like you have to just keep on pushing and, maybe 3, 5, 7 years later, you'll be able to build something a bit bigger, let's say.
I had this conversation with my partner, like, she said like, when she changed from UX to become a coach, she was thinking she will do the transition in 6 months. And I was like, at one point at the beginning, I talked with her and I said, then what if it doesn't happen in 6 months? Like how you will feel? Because I knew for me, like it takes long time. Like when you want to do something new, it takes you 3, 4, 5, 7 years, depends how good you are with change. But sometimes take time. So I asked her, like, are you prepared if it's not more than 6 months? And she was like, no, but it will not take more than 6 months. I say, yeah, and what if it takes more? Can you just imagine that a bit? And now she's after the 6 months and that start to work, the coaching business, and she start to help people, but that's unusual. I told her, like, usually like it takes long time, like getting, and especially when you don't know what you don't know, like, I am a good developer. I know how to make app. Perfect. I will do my own app. Yeah, dude. But do you know how to sell? Do you know how to market? No, I've seen people doing that, but it's way different.
Yeah. Right. Like totally agree. And even for me, after, like building apps for other people, like for 8 years, like full time, maybe 200% of my time, even starting the Pineapple Builder, because I think also funny fact at the beginning, I figured out, okay, you know what? We're going to build anything like apps, web apps, cross-platform,
anything,
because also anything. Like, I mean, to be fair, we did it for our customers in the past. So usually they would have like, platform or like something like Uber. And of course they have like web apps, mobile apps, internal apps. So I was building a platform which kind of enabled them to really share a lot of code and build those applications like turbo fast, let's say. And I figured out, okay, now let's build a platform to enable anyone pretty much. I'm always kind of sick of, enterprise, or like bigger customers. And I figured out, okay, let's give it to people, let's say. And I think, building, just UX around this is super hard. I mean, I think that's because, pretty much that will be something more like a bubble, IO, right? And I think always what I've heard about the Bubble IO, that's, it's powerful, but it's really hard to build actually anything. And then UX is so bad that, people actually need extra training and spend maybe 1 year just to really figure out how to build this. And in the end doesn't work because obviously it's, just too slow, or like, the performance is not really there. And then of course, if you do it for the first time, it's super hard. But somehow anyway, I figured out, we can do this. Unfortunately, after I think 9 months, we figured out, okay, maybe we can simplify this and just focus on building websites.
That's
for
the
now.
same story with everything. Like, people always start like, I will do like, the next Facebook. But in fact, you will go nowhere by doing that. And I had the same problem with Cap Time at the beginning. I was like, let's do an app which is a CrossFit timer, but also a community where people can put the picture of the exercise they do and blah, blah, blah. And it was like 20 features. We launched. It was like a mess. No one used it. Then at one point we were like, let's remove everything and just keep the original idea. And then it started to blow up super big. It was like, you're like, shit, all the code trash. Trashed.
Yeah, I mean, totally. But did you rebrand this or like just remove some functionality? Or
it was no user, like no one used like the super complex app. So I didn't rebrand it. I just removed feature until people understand what it was doing. The app doing.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's as well was pretty much the same, because at the beginning, I think our editor was quite advanced, like more a Webflow thingy.
Yeah.
So then we start just like removing, all the options and just like simplified it, put more templates and more examples, and it got better. I mean, like people could actually really use this without me maybe doing this for them. But I think, it also depends on the what kind of customers you're talking to, etc., which is like, I think overall tricky to figure out, as well, I think what you like to do maybe in a way. Because I think, that's totally different crowd. I mean, like Webflow people, even though a lot of people actually try to use Webflow and they don't have, designer skills or, developer skills. But usually they will fail and then jump to something simpler.
Yeah, definitely. And even for me, I am a developer and I didn't like to use Bubble or to use Webflow. I feel like you put me gloves on my hands, like I know to code, but then I have a tool which is kind of simpler, but still super complex because you have to know where everything is, basically. So I'm like, it's like I am trying to use a Premiere Pro, to do video. Like, there are so many buttons. You're like, which button do what? And
right.
Yeah. And then I've discovered like, things like cards, for example, and that's super simple. 3 sections, 4 buttons. Like you can do only few things, but at least that design for me exactly what I want. I don't want to do design, so just do it.
But you know what? I still find it like super confusing and super hard. I mean,
Card?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it's still very complex. And at the beginning I was like, oh, okay, there's this card thing, right? And it's like, okay, I tried to look into this. It's like, damn, this is confusing. I don't want to be the same. But at the same time, like I like we had like a couple, designers who were building things with card, and it was like, okay, pineapple is too hard. And I was like, what is too hard here? Right. So I guess it's like, your perspective, but I think as well, this is, maybe even the different starting point. I think now we're kind of even more focusing on people which are, they just really want to build something, have slightly more, options to customize things and then kind of grow it. And I think also this is what we've learned the hard way. I mean, building website is just a starting point. I mean, like, great, you have website, right? And a lot of people will say, okay, but I don't get any people on the website, right? Like, it's not even that, it's not converting. It's like getting traffic.
I want the initial traffic, please. Yes.
Yes, included.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, like, overall,
you made me think also, like, we were talking about simplicity on stuff, and you talk, for example, for cards, you find it a bit difficult, and while for me it was more logical. And that made me think a debate I had yesterday today with Cheyenne, the guy making Logsnag. Like, he's really fan of React, and I am a developer. I have used a lot of tools in my life. Angular at the beginning was the only one, then Vue, and I saw many times like React, and I was like, okay, everyone is talking about this, so I should try, because like there are more tool building on top of it, the ecosystem is bigger, etc., etc. And each time I go to try React, I hit walls, like I get slapped in the face, like, because I understand nothing. And in fact, I think like understanding is like also how your brain is wired. And it depends a lot of who you are, where you came from. Like, I came from the first time I learned web was with Angular. So my brain is wired in that way. And when I discovered React, I was like, why everything is made the reverse logic? You see? While it's not reverse logic, it's reverse mind. It's very personal. So with Pineapple, probably you target a special kind of people who are very understanding it well, and some of them will never understand, no matter how simple you try to make it.
Yeah, true. And I think, that's kind of great, right? Because there's like a place for everyone. I mean, you have your different way of building things. And, I think even for me, I think that's why it took actually, around 2 years to really build this editor. And I think I really rebuilt this 3 times already, or maybe 4. Right, because each time it was, okay, we have to simplify this. We have to make it, a bit more user-friendly from this perspective for that kind of users, etc. And I think, that's why it's really hard. And also, like, I've been, learning from other different tools, like how they solve some particular issues. And then also you have those particular issues only appearing for this particular group, maybe sometimes, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of tricky, but I'm curious now. So what are you using right now? I mean, like React or Vue or?
With Mark, the project Landing AI is built in React, because Mark knows only React. He started his journey on web on React. So we were like, that's something very interesting. Like, we were like, oh, let's work together. And then we discovered we didn't use the same tool. And we were like, oh, shit.
Right.
But so with Mark, we use this. And me, I was using until 2 years ago, mainly Angular. But then I discovered like Angular is very complex for nothing sometimes. And on the other side, Vue.js is Angular, but with a simple mindset. Everything has to be simple, like a bit of the Python mindset. And so I switched to that, and now I never look back. Like, I was like, everything, it's super natural for me. I almost never look the doc of Vue or Next on Nuxt.js, because it's very simple to me and very logical. So yeah, I use that on my project, Next on the landing pages when I build the landing page myself. So only 2 of my landing page are built myself. Otherwise, everything is on card. And the project is on in Vue without Next, even, like, to make it super simple. I have a template I reuse over time, which is a open source template, and I even improve the template over time on the open source project. So this is working pretty well for me.
Cool.
What do you use for Pineapple?
Yeah, like constantly React for the last 8 years, I think. So before it was Angular, but then when I saw React, it was like, okay, clicked somehow.
Yeah, it was better for you.
Yeah. And yeah, pretty much React all the way.
Cool. Yeah. And did you try Vue or other things? Like, never?
Not really. But I thought that Vue is quite similar to React.
Yeah, you can even use GS6 if you want in Vue. But I use Vue more in the Angular way, where you put like the template of the HTML and the JS on different, not mixed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, we did a lot of like R&Ds, the like projects around like React Native, and actually this cross-platform. So we could actually build applications, pretty much from the same source code and just share almost like 80 to 90% of the code, cross-platform. I think now also Flutter is quite big, or is like getting momentum much more, which is interesting to see. And I can see actually people are building really fast with it. But I think, like for me, like I try to play like all around, front end, back end, architecture, some complex things like in this space of architecture. I actually did much more in this space, before Pineapple. Now it's all around as I have to.
Yeah.
But I think now AI probably much more tweaking prompts and try to figure out like how to make it work.
Yeah, that's the new learning we are all on. It's like, how you make the AI work for you. Like when we decide with Mark to do landing AI, we're like, yeah, let's do it with GPT-4. It will be super easy. But then we discover like making a prompt work for one case, it's pretty easy, but making it work repeatably over time with different user prompting into your prompt, it's like sometimes very hard. Like right now we have a very annoying bug. Is like sometimes how people route to the description of their project make the features section, instead of beating 3 words, like we say, don't put max than 3 words to GPT-4. And I don't know why, but some people find a way to trigger it, and then he wrote a fucking text like that, and then the whole design is broken because he has a big chunk of text where it should be 3 words.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so I have the same problem, and I didn't really manage to really solve this in a way. Because as well, like in our case, like the idea is like you can add new section, and then you can just say, hey, what kind of section you want, right? And then how many items you want to have in the section. So you can generate like a lot of stuff on the fly and then tweak it further. And then matching this with AI response, which is unpredictable and it's weird. And sometimes you just decide to go like
crazy,
totally random.
Yeah.
But I think it's also like what Altman was saying in his like conversation about ChatGPT 4, and those weird constraints, because apparently it can't really count words or like characters. Like no, I think it got better recently, but it's something weird that sometimes those very simple things it can't do, and especially you want to repeat this over and over, you can't really tweak it so much. And I think also at the same time, maybe it's actually the good thing, because you don't want to be super repetitive, right? Like you would like to have different answers. So actually even the website is a bit different than the previous one. So yeah, I guess there will be like just different models. because even the previous versions of APIs are like quite nice, stable for some cases. But yeah, I think, just understanding what's there, what's available, because I think the space is also like quite growing, even though OpenAI is like really the main player right now in a way, or have like good results. Probably there will be like much more, soon, so we can actually use this.
Yeah, and even outside of like players, I believe like there are a big open source coming to this. Like I've tried GPT for all on my computer, and it worked pretty well. So I am actually looking for a way to package that in a way like I can use it in my own project and be not using OpenAI anymore, for a certain code, because it's faster and you own 100% of the output. There are no like OpenAI change something and say, oh, sorry, like Twitter, you're not able to use the API anymore for whatever reason though.
Right. And then probably it's cheaper in a way, I guess.
Yeah.
But also, like, I'm not sure if like ChatGPT 5 is coming soon, or like the new iteration.
I don't know. I think we're gonna be surprised because now it's kind of a competition of like until ChatGPT 3 or 4, like most of people didn't understand what was going on. But now, like all the attention is onto AI for makers, but also for VC, for investment, for everything. So I think like a lot of big things will happen in the next year because like now all the attention is in that, like same as the, when it was the NFT period or the crypto period, like every day was a new announcement. So I think it will be the same for IA. And now there are a lot of company running big process to prepare data for the next GPT version, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, true. There is always this wave for something, and blockchain was huge.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, the world didn't change so much. I think maybe it's still coming. We have to just figure out how. But I think I remember there was like so many startups and like many like requests for like projects, and we had like a couple actually building even this crowdfunding platform with Bitcoin and all that stuff. In the end, it really failed just on the legal side. But I think now AI is the next thing. Wondering what's the next.
I think there are like, I don't know if you have seen the latest announced this week about baby AGE or Auto GPT. Like it's people put GPT to self-answer himself. Like you give him a job and then he create the whole procedure to arrive to finish it instead of you talking with it. And that's, I think, will be something huge. Like you will, I think you will say like something like, I want to create a website, and then he will be able to ask you question. Because right now, ChatGPT is like trying to find solution in any way. He never say to you like, he need more information. So how to get it?
Right.
And I think at one point he will be very more interactive like that.
Yeah. So that's the trick with AI. And I think it's the trick with people in general. Like, you have to figure out what you really want to ask and how to ask about this. So, but I think, even though like AI can ask you those things, maybe I think still doesn't understand what you really want to achieve. And I found this actually really as well interesting because, for us, like, I mean, I've been trying to use as well hack AI to really build nice website. But then the reality is like, you can't really build a website just like that. I mean, you as a business owner or whatever, like in our case, at least, if you're selling something, you have to know what you're selling and why you're selling it. Right. So even though you get those answers, like you still have to really understand or like, co-create them somehow. Unless really ChatGPT runs your business, which people also try this in a way. But I think as well, like, you have to get like additional input to really push this, because I mean, of course, maybe you can code this somehow that, ChatGPT will be, let's say, greedy in a way that, wants to earn more money and then figure out a way to control the world and earn more money. Yeah. But I'm then not sure if he's going to share this money with you, because like, he's like,
well, for what?
I've earned this one.
yeah.
So bye.
But that makes me think a bit about the famous, the 42, the answer of the life, like people ask right. in the, and I really like this idea, because like they put a super IA to compute like what is the answer of life. And then the computer after millennials say like 42. And people are like, why you answer that? And it's because did you ask the right question? And it's a bit like that. IA will be like super smart, but then people will still need to ask the right question, because otherwise you have the wrong answers, which is really same with human, but it's very emphasis with IA.
Yeah. I think the conclusion was as well, like the computer and then society asking was, okay, then we have to build like super big computer to simulate life, and you're going to participate in this. Which is like, having matrix, just to like run matrix to figure out why you're running it, why people live on Earth and what they do. And I think, I mean, personally, I like to think about those things and just like figure out, okay, why I'm doing things, like why I'm actually even working on things. And then, even when we think about, investing, is like, why do you really do that? Right. Because, a lot of people actually think, okay, I want to build a startup and, it will be printing money for me and I'm not going to do much. But I mean, no one really...
That's a good question to ask you now. Why are you doing what you do?
Yeah, I guess, I think that since I was 12, I just figured out like I just like to do things. And for me, even, right now, the pineapple and the AI is really to figure out like how to really help people and just deliver more value to them and, how to help businesses to really grow. And then it's pretty much that's it. And to be fair, even though it sounds very weird, and a lot of people will say, okay, but, you have to earn money somehow or something. I think for me, at least, it really worked this way that the money kind of follows, because that was the same as with, building this tech accelerator was like me just trying to figure out, okay, how I can really help people and, build more for them so they can actually really deliver more value to their customers. And, they were really happy about this, right? And that's why the company really grew. And I was never even having intention to build any company like that. Like I'm totally against, any agencies, usually they're super bad, right? They want to build like, something, charge you a lot. And then it's like, okay, we built, you asked for this one. It's like done.
Yeah. You asked something stupid and we build it.
Yeah, exactly. Right. We are just this stupid AI charging you a lot.
That's probably why I have felt my kind of agency, because each time someone was bringing with a very stupid things, I was like, no, that's stupid building that. I will not help you. Yeah.
So that's the challenge. And I think, finding the right customers for you. Yeah. But in the end, like right now is, just building something quite challenging. And I think that's why maybe I'm still pursuing the pineapple builder, because it's super hard. I mean, I wouldn't even expect, how much functionality actually you have to have really to deliver that kind of things. I think, of course, you can, just give people output or like, very simplify this, or not having options to really to edit. But I guess, I like hardcore extreme sports. So I figured out that's something for me.
The same with coding. Yes.
Yeah, I do the same with coding. So let's keep on pushing.
That's fun you say that, because like when we start doing landing AM, we got a bit of money with that, and I was like, okay, what is the next step? And then I was like, next step is website builder. But then I look at how much it's work, and I was like, maybe it's not the next step. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
because it looks so hard. Like Or I was thinking the only solution is to find like an open source tool which is already making all the composability, but like you will not find one which is very nice and integrated as you want. So I was like, we're gonna stick on the vision of a landing generated and without option to editing. That you take the code and do whatever you do with that.
Yeah. I think, again, like, so what will be, let's say, your goal? I mean, like, anyway, maybe the goal for you building those products, because I think, you have now 3 products.
Yeah.
I think Mark has like even more, or
I have more as well, but I have 3 making money.
Okay. Okay. Go.
Definitely my goal, it's something I've set up a long time ago and I want to follow that. I truly believe in freedom, as one of my core value. So I want to build my freedom and be able to, what I'm saying often is, if I want to learn pottery for 3 fucking months, I want to be able to do that. I don't have to work at all, but I have to have a lot of flexibility on how I work. And that's what I want for my life. And I am doing things to help also people achieve this dream, because I truly believe everyone should have a lot of freedom. Don't feel like, I'm stuck on this, I cannot change, because I have a loan, because I have a child, because whatever. No, for me, that's horrible to be in your self jail. So I want to help people do that. That's why I'm doing the podcast. That's what I'm doing, like Cabgo in open source, because I want to share more and more. And I wish to do landing AI in open source as well, but I am with Mark and it's, you don't see much the value of doing that in open source, and it doesn't have the same core value. So we do it differently. But, I want to commit to do everything in open source, for example, for that, because I truly believe like sharing is caring, and
yeah, totally.
And that's my big why, I would say.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, like, open source as well could be nice marketing strategy overall. I mean, like, you can get like a lot of traction and attention there, and people help you with that. I think still maybe you need like a different system to monetize this. But I think, especially maybe recently, I have more and more this kind of, let's say, second thoughts about, freedom and actually building things to be more secure in a way. Because, for me, actually, this is what kind of happened, let's say, with Ority itself, like the tech accelerator. Like, I was at the point that, I can retire. And I guess that was my kind of second retirement in a way. But then it's like, what should I do, right? I mean, like, I still would like to, focus on maybe building something and just like try to figure out like how to build value. I guess maybe for sure, even take much more gamble in a way. But then the reality is, it will cost you a lot, right? I mean, especially when you get older, right? Like you have more spendings, and I think anyway, if you're not working and do something else, like it will cost you a lot, right? Yeah. So then I was like chatting with my friends, which are, working for, bigger companies, for a bit now. And to be honest, like, I mean, you can have really great life, right? Like you can earn a lot. You don't overwork yourself. You have a lot of freedom in a way. Obviously they're also like feeling, I would like to do what you do. And like, so you have more, let's say, freedom in a way. But I think overall, like, the freedom is really in your mind. I mean, what you figure out for yourself, like how you really perceive constraints which you might have. Because at the end of the day, we are free, but very often, we just tell ourselves that we are not free because I can't do those things which I would like to do. And I think, then you start asking even, I'm actually getting very, I would say
that's good.
Complex and spiritual maybe. But I think, like just try to figure out like what you really want to do for yourself, like what you like to do, why you're doing this. It's this really important question you have to ask yourself. And for sure, you have to just start even asking yourselves, regardless, if you have this free time or you don't have this free time. And I think overall it's really necessary to run in a way successful / business or life. Because it's good to have those answers, like, why you do those things, like what is your limit, maybe there are better options, with your
my
time
partner,
and
she has a very good framework. When she do coaching to help people to know like how much they are happy. She has she put people writing their core value, what they value the most in life, and try to ask them on a daily basis how much they are aligned to their value. And that's pretty simple exercise. If you are guided to it, it's pretty easier. And then you can see a bit if you are aligned to what you value the most. And for me, I value a lot my freedom, but not everyone value it as me. Like, I want to be able to change something from one day to another, or everything. While some people are very conservative in their value more. So it will not make sense to have this freedom. They will be like, for what? I don't need that.
Right. True.
Yeah. It really depends, what are your value for me, and this exercise, she made me do, because I'm doing coaching with her as well. And that's make a lot of sense to me. And that helps you to know, okay, where you should be. Because sometimes some people, as you say, your friends say, oh, you have more freedom than me. But then if they really ask themselves or become like you, they felt like this is not freedom. This is just a unsafe place for me, because there are nothing with strict limits. Everything is moving. So they don't feel comfortable by that. Tomorrow you can lose everything because Twitter closed the API. Are you comfortable with this idea? Many people will say no. So that's an important point, because that will definitely don't make you happy if you put yourself in this situation where you can lose everything every day. While being an employee, it's more stable. It depends where you are. In US, it's very easy to fire you, but in Europe, for example, you have more firing someone is very hard. So you have safety.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think anyway, if you're being fired, usually you will have, some additional, let's say, holidays, or they will pay. Yeah. And I think it's always the same way, if you're, let's say, a good employee, which, if you want to run a business, you have to be in a way good employee. Efficient people really want to work with you, etc., right? Because you deliver so much value. So I think regardless, you will create for yourself quite safe, space to work, even as an employee. And probably anyway, there will be so many other opportunities, because I think even right now, a lot of people kind of, was forced to switch to something else. But I saw this interesting statistic that was 60,000 people was let go in those big companies, but in the same time they hired 80,000. Right?
I didn't knew that, the second stat.
Yeah. And then, because obviously, people like to talk about those maybe bad things, let's say.
Yeah.
But the reality is, especially now with AI, everyone wants to catch up on this, right? Everyone will be hiring because they have to. Everyone needs to be kind of, learning those new skills, because, we have to figure out as well, how to even use AI, how to make it even better, how to really optimize this. And I think, still there is so much money, let's say, in the world in a way. And I think that's why, working for someone else or doing freelance, I think it's very lucrative still, and probably will be, because this is the state of, just economics in a way. So again, probably, running your own business requires you much more flexibility and just understanding those different things like marketing, which I think is black magic still for me at least. And it's constantly changing, because I think as well, there are some of those trends which you have to use them. And, if you pass this, you have to wait for another one and figure out what to do.
Yeah. Make total sense. I think you tell something which is very interesting. like you say, like to be an entrepreneur, you should be also a good employee. And for example, for me, I am like, when I was an employee or a freelancer, I was very good in performance, but in management, it was horrible. Like I am very an individual person. I don't like to be always in the team, you know, so people find out if they want to work with me in a company as a full time, I have to be on my own team alone, you know, like, working with others, I will just frustrate everyone because like I'm not trying to, and that's something happening also with my businesses. I'm not asking permission. I don't like to do that. I was educated in a way like you don't ask for permission. You do things and you say sorry or you improve after, but you don't debate about things. Like I don't. So in the company, that's super complex to do that. Then you have a kind of an electron which is making noise everywhere, and like people talk about that a lot. While I am doing a lot of things and providing a lot of value to the company because I use my own like knowledge of things to build on the right direction, and then I don't ask for permission for anything. So in a way, like they say, that's amazing what you do, but you should have asked. All the time I got this feedback, and I felt like I was not a good employee for that. Because I was like, what the fuck? Like, why I'm doing the right things, but in the same time, not the right thing. And I got this feedback over and over, like, until I start to do my own thing or become at the top. At CTO, it was easy because I have to report to no one. So.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting. And I think, you know, for sure that I think happens for me, you know, a lot. I mean, in the end, I like to work alone and, you know, move fast, break things, and just like, you know, even when I, you know, start running the tech accelerator, the whole idea was like to run 10 times faster, right? Like build things 10 times faster. If you're in a team and then someone is building that fast, then it's weird. I mean, this awkward situation. But I think also, you know, the good part of it, like when I'm kind of looking back into this, and it's like try to figure out like why I didn't manage to really fit into the team and like what was wrong there. And I think again, then running more my own business made me realize that you have to really collaborate a lot. I mean, that's everything, you know, and I think even marketing or like, you know, finding, you know, your, you know, crowd or building this is mainly about collaboration, right? Like, I mean, you have to provide the value, but then at the end of the day, the customer is deciding what is valuable, right? And I think this is where we all made this huge mistake of building this feature, which is like, oh, this is going to be so great. But then there's no one is like getting it. Right. And I think that's the problem. Like you'd never had this conversation with your customers, with your community. And I think that's why you kind of miss the point about this. So for my case right now is like really learning those skills. And then I just figured out, actually, you know, if I could be a bit nicer, more working together, I think even with my partner right now, you know, and future, you know, family, like you have to really participate and collaborate. And I'm not sure why, because I think, I don't know if it's the engineering background makes you just, you know, do one thing, like kind of CPU, and then just leave me alone. But the reality is, you know, much more complex. And I think AI again kind of proved this, that, you know, the context really matter. And then whatever you put inside, you know, of the question, like you will get a different answer. And I think, you know, the hardest bit is really to figure out and, you know, navigate this and then collaborate with others. And I think that's maybe it's also tricky about Twitter, because you see a lot of collaboration, but at the same time, you really see not much of it in a way. Everyone is trying more push their own agenda in a way and you know, just deliver.
That's fun you say that about collaboration, because I had this issue a lot while working with people. But since now I have my business, I don't see me building a business without collaborate with the users. Like CapGo, I have a community. There are 400 people on Discord now. Every day I talk with them. I debate with them to find a way to make the product better. And even by building open source, I have no choice than to listen people, because sometimes they push a new feature without asking me. And I'm like, okay, now I have to talk with them to know if that makes sense in the product or not. And sometimes it's very tricky, because like, the interest of the users is against the interest of the business sometimes. Like, oh, we want that like that, and that will make everything easier for us. And then it will make things, like he can make things easier, but it will be expensive for you as a business runner. And at this time, I have to tell them like, yeah, that's very cool for you, but that's make the business way costlier. So I cannot afford that right now because I am solo maker, and I have to share that. So I have a very a big discussion with them, and I'm super enjoying that. Like even Mark today told me like, you're so caring on Crisp. It's so very weird. I didn't expect that from you. And that's so natural. But in the other way, in the business, inside the business side, I'm totally against that. Like I don't want meeting. I don't want discussion. That's very funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, totally agree. And I can see this very often, right? But I'm not sure why. What's the case?
Yeah,
because it's weird. I mean, the reality as well maybe is usually in a team you have just, I don't know, other people which are maybe more kind of thinking about their job and just doing small bit, not really thinking about everything else, and they don't engage maybe on that kind of level. But yeah, I think overall everyone is trying to really help.
Yeah.
And build something. Because it's obviously fun. If you build something, people like this, they share feedback. Even when it's bad one, you're just like, oh, okay, but why is that's the case? You try to learn and learn from it somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe it's just
that's very interesting. I think that's a concept I often use, and I think that's linked to that. It's I imagine everything you have in your life is in a cup. You have a jar of energy, and every day you have this jar filled, and you consume this energy. And for the caring of the discussion of things, it's also the same. And if I spend times with the user talking a lot, then I don't have time for debating with the people working with me. In a way, I have already consumed the energy, the amount I have for today. And I think that maybe I can make the source, because I take a lot of time to debate with my partner and my user. So at one point, I don't want to debate anymore about anything. Even eating food, I don't choose what I eat. I have a food delivery every day. I have a subscription, and I get the food, and I don't choose. I just say I eat like that. And then I don't want to know anymore. You do all the choice.
Right, yeah.
So that make me linked, yeah.
I think that this is the case of, why Zuckerberg wears the same t-shirt every day.
Yeah, that I was thinking to that when I talking about the food.
Yeah. Yeah, which is really how our, let's say, brain works. There's limited amount of decision you can make in a day, and I think they also when they were discussing this on Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs, why they're wearing those things, because literally they can't. And it's not that they don't want to; they can't really make those decisions, because you can make I don't know 100 decisions, let's say, every day, and that's it. So that was even the study about judges, because they have to make a lot of decisions every day, and they prove that it's impossible. There's fine number of decisions you can make, which I think obviously when you run your own business, you have to make a lot of decisions.
Yeah.
Not necessarily good ones always, but I think you have to kind of really understand this dynamics. So this is also what I'm trying to figure out every day, try to do as much as I can, but not more than that, because it's the same as gym. If you push yourself too much, you're going to pay for this tomorrow in a way.
That's very cool, man. You just make me discover that. I didn't, so I was doing the same kind of process. I have reduced a lot my decision making. I have I don't know, 6 t-shirts, maybe. It's not all the same color, but it's all the same shape. And 3 jeans, and that's it, like, and I don't do the food at all. Like, I want to have out of my brain. I don't want to do also cleaning in my house. I have someone coming every week, because I'm taking a lot of decision on the other side. And I just discovered, like, I did that naturally without thinking about it. That's like, that's very cool.
I think that's why AI is so nice, because you can actually really offload this problem to someone else. You just like ask, and it's like, okay, give me that. It's like, boom.
Yeah.
So for me, it's actually really game changer, just to really ask. And I think, even right now when I use this, or like for customers to create a copy or something else, is just so way easier even to have something and then just work on it even later on, just to tweak it and make it better. But yes, when you have the starting point, it's just way easier. I think that's the best thing about the AI, just to do with the heavy lifting, up front.
Okay, man. I think we did a pretty good job already. It's like 1 hour 16. We talked together. Maybe we can go to my last question and finish this podcast. It will be amazing, I believe. What are you thinking?
Sounds good.
Sounds good. Perfect. I have one question, like, it was related to our I think we talked about being your own VC, but like, what did you do exactly to be able to work on Pineapple Builder for 2 years? Like, you put a lot of money on the side when you were doing the agency?
Yeah. So I think it was like, this kind of classic dream of indie hacker, just to figure out, okay, how I can build this runway for myself so I can really focus on something. And that was mainly me running the agency, putting some money on the side so I can reinvest, which I think I do it anyway. Like every year I try to reinvest as much as I can. I think, that's also this power of this synergy effect. I think if you do something for a really long time, it will really compound. So I think I was actually reinvesting, and not really in a startups, but I think in different places. It could be like your just real estate or something else. I think the whole good idea is not really to put all your eggs into one basket, the classic thing, and diversify things, because I made as well like a lot of mistakes, and you are going to lose a lot of money. So I think that's why also you have to be prepared. And I think also even the API Twitter case, unfortunately, that's the case for all the businesses. Like, people will get banned from Google search or something like that, and then it might kill their old traffic, or like the ads stop working suddenly, or something else will happen. So I think you have to be prepared in a way. So I think that's why it's good to reinvest and put this money like in different basket, let's say. So you have this kind of, let's say, plan B, plan C, plan, whatever. So you can fall back. But then for me, it was like pretty much working for almost like 6 years on RIT itself, and then manage to kind of, to secure some money on the side so I can reinvest it back. So yeah, keep on pushing and growing. I think at the same time, it's tricky, because if you have too much runway, you're going to burn this in a way.
Yeah.
So I think you have to really maybe be careful. It's just like not thinking that you have so much time, you can do whatever. I think it's always good to push yourself a bit too much, let's say.
Okay. And when you decided to go full time on Pineapple, how much did you add in savings, or do you have an amount to share?
Yeah. So I think, maybe there's also the thing which a lot of indie hackers think or try to do, right? Like try to run a couple things at the same time. And anyway, when I was running Ority, like I could work on my other projects, or actually I was working on those R&D projects inside the company, and Pineapple was this project for last 6 years, to be fair. Because I think anyway, even not officially, we actually put like 1 million into the R&D through this 6 year. So that was this kind of investment we put already into building the front-end framework, as we call it, and the kind of back-end framework. So I think that's why even right now, Pineapple is like just 10% of the all the capacity or like options you can do. But this is what I've been actually selling to other companies, most of the time. I mean, through the Tech Accelerator. So, right. And then the point is that even though like I could run those two things at the same time, I think it's better to focus still on one thing because I was so distracted. And I think also spent so much time and effort on building things which I didn't understand fully. So that's why I think 2 years ago, when we actually delivered this really massive, successful project for British Telecom and their 120 teams, I figured out, okay, now's the time that, to wrap this into a product and actually, focus on this full time because it's kind of validated in a way. So I think that was this couple points which figured out, okay, I have to focus on Pineapple. I have some runway so I can do it a bit more freely and then, keep on pushing.
Okay, thanks. Let's go back to one of my finishing question. What you will have loved to know before starting this journey? What do you think you should have known?
That is going to have so much fun. But I think that's a really good question. I would like to really answer this in a proper way.
Yeah, take your time.
And I think the one thing is that it will take a lot of time because I think everyone says that, but then
no one listens.
No one listen. And I would say usually it takes like 2 to 3, 4 years to really figure it out. So I think you have to be patient and I think you have to learn and iterate fast. And I think maybe that's why it's not really to focus, purely on one thing. I mean, full in is like just having some time to really recharge and go for holidays, actually, I think as well. That really helps. Surprisingly, you think, I don't have time for it. But then you just come back from holidays, just figure out, I spent so much time on, be in the box, let's say. And now I can actually think outside of the box and iterate on this.
Agree. Like each time I take same time off at the beginning, I feel so bad. And at the end, I felt like, I should do that more often.
But
it's like the same after drinking alcohol. Like, I shouldn't do that anymore. And then next day, you drink again.
Next Friday is like...
and next Friday.
Maybe this Friday will be different. I will control myself.
At least for alcohol, I've changed that. Like, I'm not drinking anymore much because it's really too much impact on my energy.
Yeah.
But
the same. I'm not sure if it's like just getting older, but
maybe. I just became 30 years old in February, and now I felt like now I'm old guy. Do you have a favorite quote?
Favorite quote. Actually, I'm a fan of quotes.
I'm funny either. I even made an app for quotes. We didn't make money.
Favorite, I think maybe just do it for this specific case. I think it's also that sometimes we overthink too much, and I think it's just try to do something, see if it works, iterate on this fast, and I think as well you need months to validate something. You just need to validate it quickly, but then also don't let go. I mean, just iterate.
Yeah.
And make it better.
Yeah. I think that 2 point, like often people like, I do it, but they never look back what they did. So they just do. And it's like, I think it's just do it is mean to say like do and then think, not stop thinking. Like do and check what you have done. Do and then you do again.
Yeah.
But not think in the future.
Yeah, I think it's quite hard, right? I mean, like especially you look back and just like figure out, oh, it didn't work as planned, right? And obviously, I think it's quite hard. And to be honest, I also had like very hard time doing this, or like not being super honest about it. And it's like, oh no, it was like great. We progress, but then, you know,
we failed great.
We felt great. Yeah. But unfortunately you have to do it. I mean, the same as AI, you have to feed feedback. That was wrong. Make it better next time.
Make a lot of sense. Yeah. Who should I invite after you think, in this podcast?
I think, you know, after my holiday break, I'm not sure even. I forgot even all the names. But I think you have like a couple nice guys already. I think I can message you about this.
Okay, as
Sorry.
you want. No, it's okay. It's okay. There are no. It's like a recommendation to make my job easier. Then I can just contact the person you recommend and say, "Hey, Peter recommended you. Do you want to come in the podcast?"
Yeah. Did you have Dimitri on your podcast?
No. That's a good suggestion. Like, because I totally forgot about him.
There you go.
Perfect.
You have this perfect sales strategy. It's like, to whom I should sell next now? You will get 10%.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't monetize the podcast, so you will have 10% of zero.
But at least 10%, you know, with good salesperson.
Let's go 50 then. You
50,
get 50.
Yes. I want 50, yes. Please. It's all recorded.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay. And, so the last question is for you this time. Where we send, I want 50% as well. Where do we send people who want to know more about you?
I guess, my Twitter account, which is like Peter_KOW. I have my website as well, peterkowalczyk.com.
We were gonna put that in the description for the people who don't know how to write that.
Super easy.
Yes.
No joking.
Super easy for you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, Okay. Cool. Super cool, man. I really enjoyed this time with you. It was amazing. Nice chat.
Thank you as well. Nice one.
Yeah, very, very cool. And if our listener did enjoy that as well, what I recommend is like sending a text, a tiny heart to Peter to say thanks to have joined and for his sharing, what he knows, because he take his time instead of working to share. So it's amazing to take times to say thank you as well, because as you know, this is not paid. You got it for free. So, at least do that. And also to me, if you want, and you can also send me what I should ask in the podcast, what you think I should improve and things like that. I'm taking feedbacks to try to improve and make it better for you as a listener, because it's very good for me. I like doing this podcast, but I also do it to have people enjoying it. So feel free to share. I'm open for that.
Thank you as well, Martin. Really appreciate this. And it was really nice. I think, you know, just chat and hopefully some people find this helpful as well for themselves. So
I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Now in English, it's a bit like it's still few person because I'm starting again this community. I was doing that in French for 2 years now and made 100,000 listening in the total podcast. So pretty good amount. Nice. For 100 episodes, so around 1,000 by episode. But now in English, it's like, the machine is starting again. But I know over time you will have a lot of people, feedbacks.
So are you based in France actually, or?
Right now I'm in Romania because my partner, she's, from Romania, but Monday we're going to Portugal because we like Portugal.
For a bit longer or?
6 months, yeah. We really enjoy Portugal. Yeah, not bad. But we don't have a base. We don't have a base. No, in Madeira. It's a Portuguese island. Near to Canary Island.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's nice. I mean, like, you can do a lot there and it's nice.
You have been there?
Right, cool. Yes, actually, I think last year. So usually I would maybe go for winter time.
Okay.
I think we went there for like three weeks. So no, nothing crazy, but I guess managed to experience a bit, and also got COVID at the time, so that wasn't maybe fun.
That's we could have even meet there, because like I was there since January, until June.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like I think I have like 2 other friends which are there as well. Recently I've been actually traveling Spain and also trying to figure out what to do for next winter.
Come back to
so I'm thinking about this, but then I think the problem is too coldish. So I'm thinking about Tenerife.
I think
so
Canary Island is better for winter time because it's more warm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
perfect, man.
Thank you as well.
For listener, I tell you, see you next week for the next episode. Bye bye.